This is the guy in the middle, Sergey Nechayev. Now, this tells you a lot about the left. He was a 22-year-old anarchist. He had taught for 2 years. He never completed school, but he wrote the most important document to the left's history. It's called the Revolutionary Catechism in 1869. Here's what it says, at least in the introduction anyway. The Society of Revolutionaries has no other aim than the complete liberation and happiness of the masses. Convinced that this happiness can only come from my way over here. Yeah, I should probably just be still. One of my favorite lines. Oops. Complete liberation and happiness of the masses. But the only way we can have this happiness is an all-destroying popular revolt. How so? The society will use all its resources and energy towards increasing and intensifying the evils and miseries of the people until at last their patience is exhausted and they're driven to a general uprising. Isn't that what's going on right now? It's exactly what's going on. This is constant provocation. We've been lied to repeatedly, overtly, in our faces, spat on, called ridiculous names, had our money taken from us, had our businesses taken from us, all under this fraudulent pretext that this is a racist nation. I got to tell you something. This is the least racist nation that ever existed. All nations, all people struggle with that. We tend, people, you know, you learn as an economist, very basic thing, people are risk averse. And when you don't know somebody else, you tend to want to stick with your own. That's natural. That's why there's Little Italy, there's, you know, Little Chinatown, there's Hispanic area, there's different areas. It's natural that people want to gravitate towards their own. In our country, we have overcome the innate mistrust and suspicion that different groups have for each other precisely because we are a capitalist free market country. Because given our own devices, given our freedom to build and create things for the benefit of other people, it's in all our interest to interact with everybody else. And that's what we do. Why did they have pass laws in the South? What? If everybody was so prejudiced, why did they need a law to keep people apart? In South Africa, apartheid South Africa, why did they need a law to keep blacks and whites separated? If people were so racially inclined, why would you need a law? People, given their freedom, people will naturally interact and interact in a very polite and friendly way because it's in their best interest. The only time you find these kinds of divisions is when the government or some other power imposes them.
Come on.
We, of all Western society, was the first society in the history of man to end slavery. Never before had it been stopped, and every culture practiced it. You know, here's an interesting thing. Remember Henry Gates, that college professor at Harvard that got all upset when the policeman tried to arrest him on his own porch? And President Obama had them come together. Gates was a black guy, and the policeman was a white guy. They all had to sit there and drink beer together. The stupidest thing in the world. But anyway, Gates was all... Henry Gates wrote about slavery in the United States. There were between 10 and 12 million slaves brought to the Western Hemisphere during the time of its existence. Anybody want to hazard a guess how many of those came to America? 400,000. Isn't that shocking? All the rest went to South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. We got 400,000, a teeny smidgen of the total. Why aren't they protesting reparations in Brazil, where they got 4 million, or other places? Let's go a little further. Let's go back to Islam. Islam enslaved between 12 and, I don't know, I forget what the numbers are. Tens of millions of white Europeans. And it was not fun slavery, I gotta tell you. They were the prime traffickers of black slaves. And when they captured a black man, they immediately castrated him. And I don't mean, you know, with any kind of procedure, just whack, everything. 85% of the men that they captured died because of that. 85%. And we got what was left over. Now, our slave ships were no picnic, but compared to the Muslim slave trade, it was nothing. Nobody talks about that. Slavery existed in Mauritania until 2007, and it still exists under the radar today. I don't see Jesse Jackson or what's his name, the other guy. Sharp. Thank you. Going over to Mauritania to protest slavery, let alone reparations. And we didn't do it, it's not because we're white. There's nothing special about being white. You know what's special about us? Tell me. We're Christians. We are Christians. And you know what? That doesn't make us special. That makes God special. And all we did is listen to Him. That's all we did. We listened to Him. Our Christian principles are what made this nation great. They're founded on that. It's what made this nation great. It's what made this nation and Great Britain the first countries in the history of the world to abolish slavery. Excuse me. So I do not want to hear from anybody about how racist, sexist, bigoted, just drives me nuts. And it's such a fraudulent narrative, and they know it's fraudulent. Well, I'm not going to waste time with that one. Oh, here's another one. Khalid Sheikh Mohammed. Now here's where we get back to the idea that these people were trained by the communists. Because if you read that, it sounds almost like a translation of Nechayev, doesn't it? Jihad, well, wait a minute, maybe I gotta go back there. He says, aiming at implacable revolution, revolutionary man frequently must live within society while pretending to be completely different from what he really is, must penetrate everywhere into all the higher middle classes, house of commerce, churches, place aristocracy, bureaucracy, and military. Okay? So this is this plan to infiltrate the various cultures of our society. And look what Muhammad says. He says the same thing. Jihadi my brothers would immigrate to the U.S. and wrap themselves in America's rights and laws. And then we'll continue their attacks until the American people will become so tired we just give up. It's a lot like what Nechayev says, isn't it? That's because he learned. Here's another guy nobody's ever heard of. Anybody heard of Willie Munchberg? He was Lenin's inner circle. He controlled this massive media empire in Europe and created the Popular Front concept. He created the Anti-Nazi League, the Hollywood Anti-Nazi League, which was a cover for Soviet propaganda. He influenced Ernest Hemingway, Lillian Hellman, you can read the other ones. And for all of his hard work, he was murdered by Stalin. This is what he says. We must organize the intellectuals and use them to make Western civilization stink. Only then, if they have corrupted all its values and made life impossible, can we impose the dictatorship of the proletariat. How do you like that? Isn't our culture been so corrupted that it stinks? Yep. Yeah. That was their idea. That was their idea. We don't have time for that. Another guy is George Lukács. And look what he says. Revolutionary destructive society is the one and only solution. He came up with the idea of using sex as a weapon. He was the Minister of Culture in the Hungarian Soviet Republic in 1919, and he came up with a program that he called cultural terrorism. Guess what it was? Sex education to children and a nationwide campaign getting women to leave their husbands and go out and sow their wild oats. What better way to destroy a society, eh? Yep. And then there was Antonio Gramsci and his Pete Buttigieg's father, very prominent, well-known communist, translated Antonio Gramsci's prison notebooks. Listen, Gramsci heard Willie Munzenberg speak, and he also knew of Nechayev, so he went back and he got arrested, spent the rest of his life in prison, but he wrote the prison notebooks where he talked about penetrating the institutions of society. It got to be known as the Long March, and he's credited, Long March through the institutions, and he's credited with that idea, but who thought of it? Nechayev thought of it. It was Nechayev's plan. And Nechayev also developed an order of execution for when a communist took over a nation, they would select different groups for execution. Guess who would go first, folks? Those who aren't going to knuckle under. All of us. But Lenin loved Nechayev. He used his pamphlet. He gave it to everybody, and it became the basis for communist revolutions everywhere.